Do you remember the rating system for facial characteristics that the marketing companies like to use to appeal to people? Have a trustworthy rating system and a likability rating system. Do you think that a new demographic to come out of alternative media um, might pro- provide a new demographic for such type of recognition um, data? Because if you have been watching alternative media since before it was called alternative media, like back in when the Ernie Wayne Turtlegate was demonstrating um, how to represent yourself in court and things, like not everybody can do that. I appreciate the fact that he just has like a wagon load of books that he has to carry around with him to explain to law enforcement uh, how he can within his rights he can refuse to be molested, and I say molested in the most generalist, broadest and general of terms, because any stoppage of progress is considered molestation. Any subversion of a legitimate uh, enforcement of law, any court system with a judge that's not a landowner, it doesn't have any skin in the game, like all of these things, you can um, use the force of the accusation um, and turn it around and use it to accuse your accuser, which Ernie Wayne Turtlegate actually dismissed his own case. He took the stand that he took the judge left in protest, walked out of the courtroom in protest, and he slammed the gavel, dismissed his own case, and he had the bailiff follow him to the mayor's house to get to officially dismiss his case, and the bailiff had to follow him because it was as it was explained in the law. And of course he has, like, nobody has these resources afforded to them unless you're somebody like a legal historian like Ernie Wayne Turtlegate. So in the course of watching his videos, uh, I developed a trust for his characteristic voice, his personality, and there's a value for that. There's a value on his believability. Not everybody believes the same way that I do, but it doesn't matter because they're not in the demographic. I'm in the demographic of people that resonate with that. So, and then of course there was no more activity on his channel for years. After he was done doing what he did, he put it down. You might have seen or heard of him being over at the Hamilton Ranch or something like that. But he wasn't using his channel. So for a long time, there's a lot of people on YouTube who are not familiar with him. But he has his trustability rating. And now with this solar observatory, and I'm understanding that there are several observatories that were shut down, an entire city around the Sunspot Solar Observatory in Sacramento Mountain. They shut down a post office and they evacuated a whole city because somebody's downloading porn. It doesn't make any sense. And then a whistleblower, supposedly from DARPA, goes onto DeFango's channel and he's like, I don't even remember what he was saying. But I was like, sounds like Ernie Wayne Turtlegate. And it could be a common Idaho, Montana accent, and he just shares it. But at the same time, if it's already about DARPA. You already know if you're dealing with DARPA-related issues that they solve the hardest technological and engineering problems that the military has. And there's IARPA, which is the informational side of DARPA. Don't you think that they could borrow his voice, borrow his channel? Not really his channel or him. They don't need to. They borrow his voice because they're commercial. They never suspect that people would think outside of the boxes that they're meant to fit inside of. You know, I don't mean to scare anybody and say that they're coming to kill you or anything like that. They're busy. They're too busy raping everybody out here for them to come and kill anybody. You know, but I'm just not convinced that that is a real person in the whistleblowing segment on Defengo. I think that might have been a CGI meant to sound like Ernie Wayne Turtlegate, because how the fuck can you not believe somebody who sounds like Ernie Wayne Turtlegate? Like, how can you really not believe that? Well, I mean, all you have to do is put the your notion of logic and common sense, because it's not you're not ignoring logic and common sense when you think outside the box. It's that knowledge, that common sense and logic conform eventually to a narrative. People would resonate with that if they don't have common sense and logic themselves, or if they're not familiar with the with how somebody achieved their believability, likability, credit rating. And if you can acknowledge that the technology exists, then even if you have your doubts, you still cannot be adamant, and you still cannot be decisive. You can't be decisive about or completely afforded 100% assurity. That's just not happening. So that's a compromise. And then your summary would be a wager, like it or not. It's in the back of your mind, and it's a block to you aggregating the solution for the conundrum, and to aggregate the type of life that you want to see yourself living. Because for all intents and purposes, what you believe is true. That's why the government likes to deduce people's beliefs, because that's their religion, and you can manipulate, use, you can psyop, you can do a lot of things based off of somebody's religion, because that will get them emotional enough to where you can interact, you can have them interact, you can affect them, you can make them take steps, you can make them take measures, because you know how to make them emotional. So, I don't know what they're going to do about people who think outside the box, but I know that don't waste any time on people who are emotional about that what they don't want to admit, which is globalism. I mean, I know a lot of people that I have love for. They're globalists. My mother is a globalist. I'm not going to argue with her purposely. Like she's the one that dragged me into arguments. I'm not going to, feel around for an issue or some point to make to her to try to convince her of anything. She's a globalist. I only can deal with so much frayed edges and nerves and things being, that, abhorrent to me, that where it's like it begins to matter because of how somebody feels. And she's just one person. She's not going to affect, it's not an ethical approach to debate somebody like her about an issue. That she is not rocking with the team, and that she's just going to be arbitrary. She's going to make arbitrary statements to the things that she doesn't want to acknowledge, to make common ground, to forge common ground. So that's the thing you have to worry about the globalists, is that they will just always refuse to forge common grounds in order to take a discussion to the next level, to take conclusions to take our established common ground to the next logical conclusion. Because you got to remember, like, if you say anything that is outside of their wheelhouse, they have to dismiss you. So they have to discredit you. They have to demean you, and you are not logic. It's condescending. They'll never admit to being condescending. They'll never admit to doing exactly what it is that they're purpose is to do, because they're an implement, they're a tool, you know. Like the tool can't be the wielder as well, you know.